The Audi A3 Saloon has been a favourite of ours ever since Audi introduced the 3-box shape to the A3 range. And showing how popular it is, it's here from the start of the new model. So what we've got in test here is the new A3 Saloon in S-Line spec. So it's got bigger wheels, some nice little details on the outside. I'll talk later on about whether it's worth the extra for that. I don't think anybody can disagree, however, with the fact that the A3 is worth discussing in terms of its design in particular. Now, Audi has a bit of a tendency at the moment to do fakeness, so we've got fake exhausts, unfortunately, and not all of this grille is open either, so it's fake. As this slot here, it's fake. However, do we care? I'm not so sure. If you're not standing right next to it and poking your finger into it, this looks real and it looks pretty good. It's actually influenced by old Audi Quattro, so it has some heritage there. The rest of the car is pretty decent looking. I mean, they've got very distinctive LED lights, front and rear. Now the S-Line model gets a wheel upgrade, so these are 18s. And they're really nice looking wheels actually. They still look too small for the arches, which is a bit surprising. But I don't think I'd recommend going for a bigger optional wheel because of the ride quality. And I think the A3 Saloon comes into its own from the back actually. You get LED lights as standard and are very, very distinctive, as is Audi's way at the moment. What that angle probably doesn't show, it's got some lovely vaguely bulging wheel arches here, especially down here. It's like the door's scalloped, and some light you can really pick that up. And from this angle as well, it looks probably more substantial than the hatchback because it's a saloon and there's a bit of status with that. Still not sure about these fake exhausts though, really not sure about those. Some people care, some people don't. Is it worth the premium? That's the big question, I guess. It's between €1,000 and €2,000 difference between the A3 Sportback hatchback and this saloon, so you don't get any more equipment for that. You just get the different body style really. Now, Audi has a really good reputation for interior quality and design, and that's carried through to the new A3 quite well actually, and particularly in the S-Line model. You know, you get these gorgeous seats, one piece, really hold you very well. They're leather, and that's all standard on the S-Line. You also get this S-Line steering wheel flat bottomed, which is the way with Audi S-Line. I'm not a huge fan of how sharp a flat bottom it is. As such, I prefer a really round wheel, but you know, the market people obviously have decided that that's what people want, and it does feel good. The rest of the car, more importantly, whether you go for S-Line or not, is of very high quality. I love this dashboard. It's got this cross stitching here, which is nice. And this what looks like a shelf here, and it feels like real aluminium too. I suspect that little panel there might be. Perhaps of more interest to normal people are the digital screens. It's standard. So you've got a touchscreen in the middle, 10.1 inch. You've got digital instrumentation, which different views and everything in front of you. All works very, very well. It's much sharper to respond than the previous generation as well. One thing I really like about the new A3, and I prefer it to the bigger Audis, is its climate control system here. It's really neat, little slender piece here as opposed to a big screen which takes up a large part of the center console. It's much better and it works really well. It's still tactile, you know. It's got you can sync the temperature, you've actually got a menu here. All works very well. One little piece that I discovered on the way here actually was this little touch control down here. So it replaces the old physical knob volume control which had forward and back as well on it. It's touch sensitive. You can turn the volume up and down, turn the volume off, you can mute it, obviously you can turn off the stereo system, and then you can skip between tracks and radio stations as well. Visually it echoes the engine start button over here, which is quite a nice feature. Now otherwise, down here you've got a wireless charging pad for your phones. You've got two different types of USB port, which is really good, including the new USB-C port, which obviously not everybody has yet. Behind that you've got two decent cup holders and a little slot here which most phones fit into, most smartphones. The biggest ones won't, but quite useful really. And then an okay little compartment underneath your elbow here, and the glove box is of a decent size as well. So it's quite practical inside. Now, rear legroom is not bad. I mean, this is the latest generation of A3, so it shares all its underpinnings with the new Golf and the Seat Leon, etc. So it's pretty decent. You still get a high transmission tunnel, which isn't ideal. Now, the digital instrumentation in front of you, it looks really sharp. It's just got a rev counter and speedo in this one. You know, you can change the information that's viewed, but it's not quite as customizable as some of them. Still works very well. I have no problem with that. Other than that, to the right here you have the new setup for lights, which are buttons rather than a knob. I think I prefer the old knob, but they work absolutely fine. And to be fair, everybody leaves on auto lights all the time anyway. I really like these door handles. They look a bit upside down, but they're really high quality. And yeah, that's kind of the byword for the interior all around, really. The doors open pretty wide actually, which is very useful. Now, the usual test, sitting behind my seating position, and it's good, isn't it? There's quite a bit of foot room. I think I have the seat down as low as it goes, and there's still foot room. Absolutely no knee room. And well, headroom isn't amazing, but it's not bad. It really isn't bad. We've got vents in the back, which are always welcome. Surprised not to see USB ports there these days, especially in an Audi, but there you go. Now these seats also fold down, of course, so you can increase the boot space. A bit of a step there when you do that, but if you need to carry long items, you need to carry long items. Also, you've got Isofix, or actually the newer iSize fittings here for child seats, and you've got the top tether as well. Those are in the two outer positions. Now the middle seat, as ever, it's okay. You know, you need people next to you to be giving you room for your legs. Headroom isn't as impressive, but if you had to fit 5 people in here for a short journey, it wouldn't be too bad. And out on the road, the A3 Saloon is pretty decent too. It's average, it's nothing special, not in this spec anyway. The S-Line car comes with sport suspension as standard. And up in the mountains here, it doesn't feel overly firm, but neither does it feel amazingly controlled, to be very honest. You know, overall grip is pretty good. It's got a nice set of Pirelli P7 tyres on this, and the track is quite wide, so it clings on fairly well. It doesn't lean too much, but the individual wheel control isn't absolutely amazing, so it won't impress those who you have to drive on rough roads very often. The S-Line model comes with Drive Select as standard, so you can choose different driving modes. Now, you can also do individual, so there's dynamic, comfort and auto, and then individual where you can chop and change, but actually you can only adjust the steering assistance and the throttle response, so it's hardly worth it. There's a big difference between them all, and actually, tellingly, I've tended to drive the car in dynamic mode the whole time. Not because I'm a wannabe boy racer, but actually throttle response in the normal mode, the comfort mode, is a bit slow for my liking, and even in dynamic mode it's not amazing. Under the bonnet here we have the 1 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine. It's quite a familiar one to us. In this, guys, it produces up to 110 horsepower, which is fine, and when you're out on the open road and it's on the move and it's up to speed, it feels like plenty for this car. I know some people will think a 1 litre engine 3-cylinder isn't enough. However, when you're just driving around town, the way it's calibrated, it hasn't got much torque load down, or there's a little bit of turbo lag almost. So it's a bit frustrating, you know, taking off from a standstill and getting moving again. And from that point of view, I do wonder if the 150 horsepower engine, the petrol engine, is worth looking into. You can have the 150 horsepower petrol engine for the same price as this 1 litre engine if you forgo S-Line, so if you stick with SE. So that's a bit of a balance there, whether you're willing to give up the looks of the S-Line for more performance. There's also a diesel one to choose if you're doing longer mileage very regularly. The petrol engine, or a petrol engine, suits this car best for sure. It's quiet, it's refined, has a distinctive 3-cylinder thrum if you rev it a little bit more, and you know, it's fine. The 6-speed manual in this car is decent, it's slick, it's smooth, absolutely fine again. The S-Tronic, I'm not sure the S-Tronic automatic is worth paying the extra for. When you do push it a little bit further, when the roads are a bit more interesting, it does come alive a bit, and it is very capable. As I said, there isn't much body lean side to side, it keeps that well in control. The steering is reasonably direct and feelsome, brakes handle it very well, but it isn't really what you call a keen driver's car either. I guess Audi is holding something back for the inevitable S3 and maybe even RS3 versions in the future. One thing just driving along at normal speeds and on the motorway is there's a slight boom through the suspension, through the road. It's road noise effectively. Now that could well be these Pirelli tyres, so we'll have to see if we try something else. So that's our first look at the Audi A3 Saloon. We're not 100% convinced by this engine, the 30 TFSI one. It needs a bit more power, or maybe it's just a calibration. Maybe it just needs to loosen out. The S-Line looks really good, and the car itself is of very high quality. Would you have it over the A-Class? Would you have it over the 2 Series Grand Coupe? That's your decision. I'd be really interested to know what you think of it. Would you buy it over the A3 Sportback? Get involved in the comments below and go to CompleteCar.ie for the written review and all reviews of its rivals. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, etc. Thanks for watching.